Greetings to all of you, my dear sisters and brothers, and my dear friends. A warm welcome on this Saturday to all of you from your Pastor Yeti. So it's another Saturday where we're going to do When a Woman Meets Jesus, finding the love every woman longs for. So welcome to all of you. And today I'm going to talk about the empty woman. There was also present Anna, the daughter of Phanuel of the tribe of Asher. She was a very old woman, having had 7 years married life, and was now a widow of 84 years. Luke chapter 2, the verses 36 to 38. Empty. A deeper understanding is containing nothing, lacking substance and meaningless. Is there something missing in your life? Do you have a vacant spot in your heart? A place that is unfilled? May we never let the things we can't have or don't have spoil our enjoyment of the things we do have and can have. Possible there are other reasons you feel empty. A spouse may have left you for another person, someone younger or prettier, and now the hole in your heart is filled with a pain that seems to increase by the day. Or perhaps you have a child who has run away from home or gotten caught up in the clutches of drug addiction. Every day you are worry and wonder. But most of all, you age, fearing the next phone call may be the last. And your empty feeling is only made worse by the memory of days not so long ago, when there wasn't an empty chair at the breakfast table or an empty room in your house. It could be that, like myself and nearly 10 million other women, or much more of millions across the world, you are unable to have the child you dreamed about. You have tried everything, gone to every doctor, tried every medication, had every surgery, and finally you have been forced to live with the fact you will not conceive. Now you are left with empty arms that echoes the emptiness in your heart. If you are missing something and a vacancy sign hangs over the door over your life, then you need to get acquainted with a woman who helped me realize there is a cure for those of us who face living barren lives. The lady's name is Anna. From morning to night, for over 70 years, she started the problem of emptiness in the face. She stared the problem. The empty nest poster girl. In order to understand Anna, we must take a step back in time. At first glance, with only 3 texts in the entire Bible mentioning her name, it is easy to surmise that Anna's story isn't even worth our trouble to talk about. And I say, wrong. Even though there isn't a lot of space in Scripture giving to Anna's encounter with Jesus, there is more to their relationship than first meets the eye. Let's begin by looking at what we know about this godly woman. Excuse me. First, Anna was a prophetess. The Greek translation calls her an inspired woman. In the Old Testament, Miriam, Moses' sister, in Exodus 15, verse 20, Deborah, Judges 4, verse 4, and Huldah, 2 Chronicles 34, 22, were all women who in the Hebrew language were called prophetess. Some historians refer to these women as wives of prophets. Other biblical scholars believe Anna may have been the wife of a priest. In our time, we might call her the pastor's wife. But one thing all these women had in common was that they were held in high regard because of their spiritual leadership, and not only in their own homes, but by others in their community. Second, Anna was the daughter of Penuel of the tribe of Asher. Years before Anna was even born, the entire tribe of Asher had been taken captive by the Assyrians, and as a group, they never officially returned to the promised land, Israel. However, since Anna was in Jerusalem at the time we meet her, it is obvious someone in her family, most likely a male family member, remembered their family's roots and either returned with her loved ones to the land of their birth or arranged for Anna to marry a man in Jerusalem who reflect the spiritual values her family treasured. Third, Anna was married for 7 years and had no born a child when her husband died. To understand the situation she found herself in, one has to look no further than the Old Testament history to realize that being a childless widow was an undesirable plight. When women bore children, they were called blessed. But if they did not get pregnant, people assumed a curse of God was upon them. Husbands called, as Genesis 16 verses 1 to 6 tells us, Abraham did take another woman to be the mother of their children. And I might add, the Bible lets us in on the sordid details of Abraham's paternity plight with Sarah and Hagar. What a mess the situation turned out to be for all parties involved. Later in the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 1, the story is told about Hannah, who is described as embarrassed and grieving because the Lord had left her childless. To compound her troubles, even though her husband, Elkanah, loved her dearly, and he married someone else who gave him children, and the rival wife, taunted Hannah cruelly, rubbing it in and never letting her forget that God had not given her children. Hannah's distress became so severe that one year when she went to pray at the temple, Eli, the priest, witnesses Hannah talking to herself, concluded she was drunk, and told her to sober up. You can read that in 1 Samuel 1, verse 14. The tragic picture painted in the story of Hannah gives only a glimpse into the lives of childless women. King Solomon went further when he describes a sterile woman in a most derogatory manner. There are 3 things that are never satisfied, 4 that never say enough: the grave, the barren womb, land which is never satisfied with water, and fire which never says enough. Quite a way to talk about women who through no fault of their own find themselves unable to bear the children they long to have. When a woman is branded an undesirable commodity, what man would want to marry someone who could not just give him an inheritance? To put it bluntly, Anna's marriage prospects were poor at best. 4. Anna became a widow at a young age. Since most women in New Testament times married at 13 or 14 years of age, Anna was not much more than 20 when her husband died. Luke stated she had not left the temple since her husband's death, so it is quite likely she found herself in tight financial straits, which was the condition of most widows in biblical history. The tough times faced by a woman with no husband to support her were legendary in those days. Over 20 times the Bible requires that special care be shown to widows. And in the New Testament, widows are singled out as worthy of merciful care. So here is Anna's situation with no future marriage plans and no children. The world she faced looked bleak indeed. Hers could easily have become a life underscored by what she did not have, a life mapped out by what was missing, a life defined by emptiness. But to think this would be Anna's fate would mean you and I did not know her very well. For rather than hide under the covers and boo-hoo about her plight all day long, whimpering, "Poor me, I don't have a husband, I can't have babies, what am I going to do?" Anna chose to follow a different path. She made the decision not to wallow in the valley of lack, but to climb to the peak of plenty. And it was on this mountain top that she found the place where abundance resides. You may say Anna struck it rich when she staked her claim to the bounty waiting for this individual living expectant lives. Anna never focused her attention on what she didn't have. Instead, she kept her life open to receiving what she was promised. And how did she accomplish this incredible task? Anna embraced the joy of others and allowed it to become her own. In order to have her dream fulfilled, Anna knew she must be where there were people who needed her. So she planted herself in the center of the busiest spot in the town, the local temple, the hub of Jewish life. It was here where children were brought at birth to be blessed. It was where young people were taught. It was where couples married. It was where town worshippers convened. It was where people decisions making took place. And it was where people came for solace in times of trouble. The temple was the focal point of the community, but for Anna it became the focal point of her life. It became the place where she concerned herself with the needs of others rather than sitting alone and hope to mope about how rough her life was. For 84 years, the Bible says, Anna departed not from the temple, but served God with fastings and prayers night and day. This is a record for days on the job. Soon everyone in town recognized her. This quiet woman moved among temple's visitors, held other people's babies, laughed with other people's children, and prayed for other people's families. As generations after generations came to the temple, they were encouraged by a faithful woman who lifted the load of those who needed her smile, her joy, and yes, her love. No bitterness for what she was not given, just praise for how much she had. Yet all the while, Anna kept praying that soon the one baby she longed to see world be led in her outstretched arms. And just when she thought her time might run out, guess what? Anna got the surprise of her life. The man who fills you to overflowing. We move a step further. For Anna, it started out like any other workday. She went to the temple, and like other days, there was a bustle of activities, a continuous flow of foot traffic. No one paid any attention to the poor young couple who entered carrying 2 turtle doves, one of the least expensive offerings anyone could present at the temple service. They were just a blur in the hundreds of faces in a nameless crowd. But long ago Anna had made a conscious decision to pay attention to each person she met. She looked at each face. She cared about every heart. That is what you do when you are waiting for your empty arms to be filled with a promised gift. Every individual becomes important, and on this particular day, Anna was watching. She wasn't just passing time at her job, waiting to move into a retirement home for worn-out prophetesses. She wasn't thinking about a vacation day on the shores of Galilee. She had work to do, and as long as she was able, she would stay on duty and keep her arms open to others. You see, Anna didn't just happen to be in the right place at the right time. She chose to be there. No wonder the young couple was drawn to her side. No wonder they wanted to lay their baby in her empty arms. No wonder an old woman was filled to overflowing. And no wonder an outburst of unbridled jubilation was heard coming from Anna's lips. When your empty arms are filled and your heart is spilling over with joy, it is impossible to keep silent. With exuberance, Anna's voice was heard throughout the temple as she returned thanks to God. At over 100 years of age, Anna finally was filled to overflowing with the gift she had waited for all her life. Jesus made certain of that. He came into Anna's life and met the need of her heart at just the right time and in just the right way. We move a little more further, my dear ones. Our need, his response. Like Anna, are you waiting to have that empty spot and your life filled? Have you been suffering quietly and alone, waiting and hoping that someday the vacancy sign in your life will say, standing room only? If you fear you will never have that empty spot in your heart filled, I ask you to remember Anna and remember what Jesus did to meet the need in her life and fill the longing in her heart. You see, in order to take away Anna's emptiness, Jesus had to come to her in a unique way. Not as a teenage boy, like he did when he met the learned scholars in the temple. Not as a prophet, like he did when he cleansed the temple. Instead, Jesus came into Anna's life when he was a helpless infant. For Anna, it was the only gift she had prayed for her entire life. And that is why coming to her as a baby was the only way Jesus could answer her prayer. All I can say about the lengths Jesus goes to meet our needs is, wow. Anna never gave up, looking and serving and praying. And heaven watched, and at the perfect moment her empty heart was filled to overflowing, and the baby she had longed for since she was a young bride was laid in her outstretched arms. If you are waiting for someone to fill that empty spot in your life, keep your eyes open wide and your arms outstretched. For just when you think life has passed by you, like Anna, Jesus will give you to someone who fills your emptiness. Like Anna, keep your arms open wide. You may have waited a long time, maybe even 84 years, yet who knows? Today could be the day Jesus will fill you to overflowing and the barren spot in your life will become fertile again. He gives childless couples a family. Give them joy as the parents of children. Hallelujah. My beautiful women, God is for you, not against you. He feels your ache. He hears your groaning. And note, if he is silent now, it is the silence of his higher thoughts. He is up to something so big and so unimaginably good that your mind cannot contain it. What we see God doing is never as good as what we don't see. Feeling empty today? Something has been planted in your life, and God is providing you with the nutrients of His love and the water of His grace. Spring is right around the corner. I can hardly wait to see what will bloom. Wilderness and desert will sing joyously. The badlands will celebrate and flower like the crocus in spring, bursting into blossom, a symphony of song and color. What lessons have I learned from Anna's solution to the emptiness in her life? Ask yourself this question. And here is another one. What can I do that would make it possible for me to wait as long as Anna did, to have my empty arms filled? And how and for whom can I extend my open arms and loving heart? What empty place in my life would I like to have God fill? To complain that life has no joy while there is a single creature whom we can relieved by our bounty. Assist by our counsels, or enlivened by our presence, is to lament the loss of that which we possesses, and is just as rational as to die of thirst with the cup in our hands. Maybe you can write this affirmation down. Be glad and celebrate. God has done great things. The fields and meadows are greening up. The trees are bearing fruit again. Joel 2, verses 22 to 23. My dear ones, more is being planned for you by God than had been prayed for by us. Maybe listen again on the end when I was asking you the questions, and maybe you can write these questions down. Life is different for every person. Even as married couples, there are always, if we are becoming one to one another, there are always two paths to walk. No one can walk a path of a partner or a friend. You have to walk your own path. It doesn't mean that you're separated from each other. It is just a blessing for the both of you, that each one can share what's on the road with Jesus. So my dear ones, this was a very difficult story. I'm quite emotional by this too, because I'm not just throwing words in your midst. This is the reality of life. But we can make a choice. And the choice we made, where does it go? My beautiful women, may God, the Most High God, bless you in your mornings, in noontime and evenings. And take this story with you. And let it come a part of your experiences in your life. Because it says a lot. How we can work through life with things that is not happening in our life. It doesn't mean that our life needs to be empty. May God bless your heart, and may He bless you and bless the ones next to you, your loved ones. I bless you in your weekends. May you find peace within, my dear ones. Blessings. This is your Pastor Yeti. Bye.